Right. Oh my God.
Prymalchaos.
Hey guys, Prymalchaos here. Welcome to the channel. Boy, this one's been a long time coming. I've been promising this one for so long, and for no reason other than every time I go to sit down to do a session, I just forget that it exists. And I was reminded fairly recently about it, and I'm like, oh, I better jump onto that one. So I don't know what this is. Wagakki band? Wagakki? Wagakki. Who knows? Listen, help me out in the comments. How do you pronounce it? What even is the name of this song? I'm going to check this out. Anything out of Japan, if anyone follows this channel, they know that anything out of Japan always seems to blow my hair back. So I can't imagine this is going to be any different. I suspect this has got some elements of traditional instruments in it, which I'm all for. And I don't know, this could be traditional music. I doubt it. I feel like this has some sort of a spin on it. But, you know, I'm a big fan of Hailung as well, who sort of mix contemporary music with traditional Germanic sort of stuff as well. And that's always super impressive. So I can't imagine that I'll be too disappointed in what I'm about to witness, particularly as it's come so highly recommended. I'm going to dive right in, but before I do, I just want to say a long time ago, I created a Patreon for this channel because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I couldn't figure out a way of making it so it felt fair and all-encompassing and equitable for everybody and stuff. So I kind of abandoned the concept. I didn't like the idea of paywalls and tiers. One of the guys on my Discord actually just joined it randomly the other day. I'd completely forgotten about it. And it sort of reminded me that there are people who do want to contribute to the channel. And so what I've done is I've left it open and I've set it up with a $2 and a $5 tier that are both exactly the same. It just depends. If you decide you want to support the channel, whatever your financial means might be, I give you two options depending on how much you want to contribute. But, you know, at this stage, there's not going to be any extra content or anything like that. I just don't have the time. But, you know, who knows? If it becomes successful, I might start sort of investing more time into that and coming up with some ways of rewarding you guys for your loyalty and patronage as well. So the link's in the description. Just jump on there if you want to help out. Katsu no Ito. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm looking at, to be honest. Let's just hope it's good. All right. That's some cool harmonics and whammy bar treatment. Big slides. Come on. So melodic, the playing, man. Wow. Come on, man. Oh, interesting bass line there. Hang on. Sorry, I'm going to stop listening back to that. What's the... So the bass line is just doing a chromatic run. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing there, but it's catching my ear for sure. It's just going like, maybe, I don't know. It sounds like there's more going on there, but So clean, man. Wow. Okay, help me out in the comments. I don't know the name of that instrument, and I'd love to know. Is it a shamisen or something? I know that that's a name that's sort of jumping out in the back of my mind. I don't know if I'm completely misrepresenting that concept, but that's again. I love how the metrics on the play bar, like they indicate that something big happens here, and it's exactly that moment right here. Wow, that bass is crazy. What else is in the background there? I'm trying to hear what there's. He's just playing. Is it just keyboard sounds? It sounds like popcorn. She's a rock star, man. God damn it. Wow, what a tone. Oh. Come on, man. Right. Oh my God. So anyone who knows me in my personal life knows that the concept of Prymalchaos and Speechless, they're just not ever seen in the same room together. My biggest flaw, all of my report cards from school when I was a child were, Corey could be an amazing student if he could just shut up once in a while. So, boy, oh boy, wow, where do you begin? Like at first I was like, okay, so this is sort of instrumental. And I always queue up questions in my head. And one of them was going to be, is this an instrumental track that they do like as an encore or something? And is there a vocalist and stuff? And obviously that question got answered, but all I could think about through the whole like third act of that song where I became relatively speechless was, it must just be such a privilege to come from a place where there is such a rich heritage and culture to draw from for your art. And that's one thing that I find, and I'm going to sound like a heretic saying this as an Australian, because we all believe we have a culture, and we do. We've got a culture. I don't know that it's one to be super proud of. As white Australians, obviously we have a deep and rich Indigenous heritage. But I mean, as someone not part of that community, that's not something I can really draw from. Like my family traces back to the first fleet that came here when England first colonized Australia. And, my roots can be traced back directly to that point. So, yes, Prymalchaos came from criminals, right? But there's a heritage there, but it's one of like our deepest memory is the colonial era Australia, which is, it has its own rich heritage and it has its own flavor. And certainly there are artists and musicians, particularly in country music, that do draw from that, right? It's such a privilege to have something that you can look back on and you can draw from to create a modern fusion or like if I didn't know about Japan, if Japan wasn't something that I was familiar with and I saw this, I would look at it and I would go, wow, look at all this amazing detail in the costumes, and where do they come up with the concept of those drums? And the instruments are very unusual and strange. And if you think about trying to put that together from a baseline of absolutely nothing, it seems wildly impressive. But when you come from a culture where a lot of those sort of ideals and concepts and aesthetics and stuff are ingrained into your culture, it becomes a little bit sort of easier to sort of draw from it. And of course, they've taken that and they've put it through their prism and created a new fusion of that stuff. But it just, as somebody who looks at it as having a very vanilla heritage, it just must be so enlightening to be able to take that. And also you must feel the weight of that on your shoulders as well, as like, because these guys are clearly leaning into their Japan's historical kind of elements and their history in the same way that Heilung does with, their Germanic tribe sort of connections and all that sort of stuff. And other bands as well from around the place that do that sort of ancient modern fusion, right? But it's so beautiful to watch. It's just, there's so much culture and character and, and they're just rocking out, they're doing their thing, but at its core, you can sort of taste this authenticity and this flavor and this tradition that goes back hundreds of years. And that's just really, really cool. It can't be overstated how cool that is from an outsider. Like even like historically, like, I mean, culturally, I feel like as an Australian, my heritage goes back to, when Australia was colonized, right? But historically, obviously, my heritage goes back further than that to England, but I don't feel a connection to England as part of my heritage. I just don't. It's just the way that it is. And you can trace it back with records and documents and stuff, and I could trace back how much of, my heritage is X or Y or from this place or that village or whatever, but I don't feel a cultural connection to it in the same way as I do feel like I'm an Australian, right? Even artists from England can go and draw back on the whole medieval period and the Dark Ages and beyond that, like things like Druidism and, you know, primitive man sort of stuff, because they've stayed put. They're where their earliest ancestors are, or like were, they're still there, you know? So you can go and look at Stonehenge, or you can look at crazy cave paintings in Scotland, or whatever it is that you want to do. Whereas here, like it's, for me as a white person living in Australia, all I can do is sort of borrow from the experiences of like indigenous people and look at cave paintings and feel the weight of those, you know, 40,000 years or whatever of history there. But it's not my place to draw from that to create art, if that makes any sense. This is a very long-winded way of saying I really appreciate these artists that do this, and they sort of bring their culture and their heritage to a modern age, right? And, you know, particularly if you're, you know, a Japanese person living in Tokyo, for example, where it's hustle and bustle and business and busyness and Western concepts of like things like traffic and buildings and things like that, it would be very easy to lose this part of your culture. And so artists like this that are sort of re-establishing these historical things and creating them for a modern palette with, you know, the edginess. And we all know Japanese people love 80s shred guitar. You know, they've got a big audience for that. So you've got a lot of that in there, and you've got, but alongside it, you've got traditional instruments playing traditional like scales and elements alongside very modern drumming and guitar and bass and things like that. And it's a beautiful fusion. It's really cool. By and large, just witnessing this performance and seeing how, I mean, talented doesn't even begin to describe it, how seasoned these musicians are and how talented they are. I said talented again. It just is. I mean, I'm speechless. I'm struggling to find the words to describe the experience I just had. And that happens sometimes in this channel, but it's not as much as you might think. So yeah, I mean, I think my facial expressions probably said it all, said it best. I'd love to see what else these guys are capable of. I love the Japanese motifs. I love the fact that they're highly musical. You know, the music takes you on a journey. It feels like there's a cultural ambience to it. It doesn't feel like westernized music. It feels like there's so much color and character melodically that it wouldn't have been written this way by someone from outside of Japan. It's perfect. It's 100% perfect. Anyway, but anyway, look, thanks again for checking in. Let me know in the comments anything you want me to know about Wagakki band, even how to pronounce it properly if I'm doing it wrong. And yeah, that's amazing, guys. Thanks so much. If you feel like supporting the channel, feel free to just buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Don't forget the Patreon's an option as well. Link in the description also. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Anyone you think might appreciate this, share the video with them. That always helps as well. Stay primal. I'll catch you on the next one.